Okay, yeah, stream just crashed. I'm so sorry about that. This is becoming something new. I need to write that down as well because API. It keeps saying the API. It keeps saying the API, so I don't know. I'm so sorry about that. I just think I heard the Windows, like the dun dun noise, and then I just looked up, saw my screen had paused, and knew instantly it crashed. It is becoming a very regular thing. I thought it was because I didn't have the stream crash protections on Twitch, but I now do. So so the fact it's like still crashing is annoying. I'm so sorry about that. It's inconvenience and frustrating. Annoying. Like as soon as I get affiliate, it goes, "Yes, we're going to constantly every stream at least crash like twice." At one point last stream, Lyric, my first affiliate stream ever, my very first affiliate stream, someone yeah, I'm cursed with tech problems. I've gone through like 6 phones in 6 years. I've gone through how many tablets and everything else. Like, and now stream is just like, huh, you could earn money from this. Now start crashing. I'm not kidding when I say this, Lyric. I had someone raid me the other day, and someone decided to subscribe. As soon as they subbed, the entire stream died. They subscribed. My stream died completely. I had to reload it and everything, and it was just really funny because they were just like, "No, I killed the stream. I subbed and killed the stream." It was just really awkward and quite funny timing there. But I need to look into that with the API because I can't just ignore advice I was given. I was given it some advice, some beautiful advice. When something happens, and you do not ow, rude. When an error happens and you don't understand what caused it, find out. Otherwise, you're not going to be helping yourself in the future. Because like when the error keeps occurring, because I am lazy. I am lazy bum. But yes, I have to figure out what the hell's going on there because it is annoying and irritating if it keeps happening, especially when I potentially like if I could start earning from this, I don't want to be crashing every few hours because then it's something I have to be constantly aware of, and then on top of that, I am just constantly having to deal with continual crashes. There we go. Ooh. No, doesn't even go up high. I don't trust the fact I can stand here because I know I'll fall. That's just my luck. It's just my kind of luck to fall immediately. I've had completely standable platforms go, yeah, no, you're not standing there. Which is always fun. Always fun. But still, we're just we're just gonna do this slowly and steadily. I can also kind of see from where stream is currently how far into the game I am. Like if I got like the speedrunner achievement. But yes. Over there. Oh, that's nice. Don't want that. Are we gonna get the Christmas trees and the roots? Or the caldera? No, not caldera. The mesa. Like, we're gonna get Christmas trees in the roots. Or the tropical trees in, like, tropics. Like the coconut trees. Anywho, we just... Whee! So today we've had two things crash, Lyric. I'm just realizing. We've had two things crash. The first time we crashed, it was Peak. The second time we crashed, it was my stream. Both are very important to stream playing Peak. I don't know. But we're going to chill out, have some fun. Oh, delightful. No, thank you. Yeah, like, so this is no, go away. I don't want to die. That the Book of Bones has the same equivalence of power as, like, the same equivalence as the Scout Bugle, the Scoutmaster's Bugle. If you don't know what the Scoutmaster's Bugle does, if you use the Scoutmaster's Bugle, it will summon the Scoutmaster, and he will hunt the player that used it until they are dead. He will kill them. He will target them to kill. Did you not realize what the Scoutmaster's Bugle was? The Book of Bones basically does something a tiny bit cheekier, which is it's very useful in the times when, yeah, hey, we have the tropics. But the Scoutmaster's Bugle and the Book of Bones are a tiny bit similar, because the Book of Bones actually has some good use to it. The use with it is if your friend dies, before they press E and turn to bone, your friends can run up to you, use the Book of Bones on you, and it will turn you to a skeleton. You will take no status effects, so you won't take hunger or poison or heat damage, anything like that. But one false move, you take fall damage, you shatter. You absolutely shatter. Why couldn't this just be snow? Make slippery ice, snow, that type of thing. Ooh, pretty. Well, now it snows after it rains. But yes, same effect as the Scoutmaster's Bugle. Not useful for us. Very useful to have that, just in case. I'm probably going to get rid of that so quickly. Ow. Eh. I have one of those in my backpack. Ooh. Drinks. I have a lot of liquid. I've consumed a lot of liquid today. You don't have audio, so you couldn't hear that. The game just played the biggest doof thing noise, and it just scared the life out of me. I just looked around, just like, I'm sorry, what? Because every time I'm thinking, where is this coming from? Because the majority of games, I never have the music on. But when I started streaming them, I'll keep the music on so you guys can hear it if you want to. Ooh. There's a lot of bombs. I'm sorry, but I kind of want to live. Scoutmaster Myers wants me dead. I want to live, thank you. Ooh, Christmas. Santa, don't kill me. I want to open my Christmas presents. Let me up. Another antidote, another bandage. I don't need it. Santa. I've been a good elf. Please don't put me in the workshop. Apparently I'm getting coal. Santa wants this elf to only get coal. Which is sad. Am I actually... Bugger it. Boy! Bring that with me, because it's also snacky. I get a snack and I also get life. Wait for the rain to stop. Please stop. Oh! I just jumped. I jumped as I grabbed the vine out of habit because when I'm grabbing the rope, I found it uses less energy and stamina when you will like spam E and spacebar because it like lets go and hold on to the rope, and so actually you got so much faster and you use so much less stamina as a result, which is so incredibly good. And I tried doing that with the vine, and of course it made me let go and start to fall. Oh. Thank you. My phone was telling me, hey, maybe it's bedtime. I have never listened to that alarm once in my damn life. Don't go. Are we just chilling? Tee. Are you doing anything in particular in Minecraft, Lyric? Playing a particular games or whatnot? Like just chilling out building? Eh? Chilling. Mm-hmm. Just existing in Minecraft, maybe saying hi to people. Is that about it? Secret stuff? When can I know the secret things? Can I know the secret things? Hmm? Hmm? Not now. So I will eventually find out, just it might be a while probably. Is that correct? Okay. Work in progress. So Minecraft building, drawing, that kind of thing. Building and gathering. Nice. Well, that sounds fun at least. Grab that. Thank you. Nope, I want that. I want that! Got so many snackies, Lyric. So many snackies. I'm surprised my character isn't questioning why they're so full. And they're just going, I want more and more and more. I'm hungry. I'm very, very hungry. Also, Lyric, I don't know if this is on Wildcard, but if it is, then just let you know that if you need anything, go raid my base. I don't mind. Let me know if you do, because then I can replenish my supplies of whatever you've taken. But, like, you are more than welcome to go and raid that. And just, like, whatever you might need, go nuts. So, yeah. Just FYI. You can't do that for this specific thing. What, you can't nick things from my base? Or you... Like, you can't nick supplies at all from my base? Excuse me. Rude. Oh, this can be a bit of a risky one, but we live once. No! Shoot. Shoot. Yeah, we're not surviving that. Nope. That is non-survivable. Yeah, we're not surviving that one. Ugh. 26 minutes in, of course. Yo, for a second, I'm actually gonna, while Peak is still existing there, I'm gonna look at what my API thing is. What's my API issue? Accessibility, hotkeys, sample, decay, monitoring, output, recording, out audio. Anywho. Well, Peak have crashed just then. Peak crashed. Okay, 100% peak has crashed. Gosh dang it. Yep. Alt F. That's Alt F3. Close the program. Report the program to Windows again. And try. Again. Oh, I see another person here. I think. Oh, hello, Berto. Hello, friends. Peak crashed. The first time it crashed, it was me being silly. The second time it crashed... Oh, actually, the second time something crashed was my stream. The third time it crashed was, me checking what the heck was wrong with OBS, because why not? Anyway. We play Peak. We do Ascent 3. We see if it wants to be nice. I'm there. So, apparently it's cold while I'm in the middle of a heatwave. Also, I see the thing, the pre-rolls, immediately it's like, ad start in 8 minutes. No, I've got pre-rolls off for the next 35 minutes, apparently. I'm confused. Stream? Anyway, we go to Ascent 3. Try this again. We're 22 minutes into the stream. So, we'd need to be an hour and 22 minutes into stream if we don't die to be getting to the peak, which is just before midnight. Actually, it's at midnight for me. So let's race. Okay, we've got that. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Boop, boop, boop. And coconuts are right there. Cool, 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 cool. Cook these. Boop. Cook. Boop. Cook. Run, 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 run. Put that on my back. Cook. And at the same time, throw. Cook and throw. And cook and throw. Put that down. Put that in. I leave that in my... on me. Now we run. We run, we run, we run. I've run into a wall. You can tell when Minerva's answering a text. I get a quick ping and I'm like, I'm just gonna answer that. Look like I'm running into a wall. Because I'm silly. Yeah. Snowball. Face. Oh! I actually knocked myself out. Interesting. I knocked myself out with a snowball. I do not know you could do that. Interesting. Ooh, cookies. Thick mints. cookie. Scout cookies. I'm a scout. Gonna put this in here. I done. Ooh, food. We have snackies, Lyric. There's more snackies over there. Oh, there's presents. Ow. Apparently a concussion. And apparently the ads decided they wanted to start in the next 5 minutes. Yay. He's ad persistent. I'm so sorry. I could snooze it if you'd like. I don't mind. I have 3 opportunities to snooze it during the stream. So I'm fine with snoozing it once or twice. If that means you're not getting bombarded with thousands of ads for like 20 minutes. Because adverts are annoying. I can understand. But then also, this is... like, I get 55% of the monetization with the settings I have. 3 minutes, all at once. Not like as soon as you enter the channel. Like, it's only when I'm actually running them myself. Like, it's a little less. Like, I think I'd get 80% if it was just randomly. But then at that point, I also can't tell, oh yeah, there's an ad there. There's an ad here. There's an ad there. And I wouldn't be able to say, oh, no, you're watching 1,000 ads right now. And this person isn't. Goodness, I'm not going to bed. Alarm, I've never listened to you. Oh, no. But still. But you having fun planning your surprise that you won't tell me, Lyric? That eventually I'll find out about? Yeah? You have fun doing that? I'm preparing? Nope, not this way. Excusez-moi. How do I make... okay, so you would do... okay, yeah. That is... you on wildcard, I'm assuming. That is / trigger format name. So trigger format name. And then just click enter. And then it will come up with a bunch of different things, including a bunch of colored boxes. Those colored boxes are coloring the name itself. They do cost an experience level each, I will let you know. So if you don't have any experience on you, you won't be able to do anything. But if you do have XP, then you're fine. Just as an FYI, like, you do need XP. Okay, so what? Poop. Ooh, there is an up there. Okay, by the way, the stream thingies asking me to do ads in like a minute's time, I will make sure to talk to you lot before I just like send you off to 3-minute ad break. Honestly, just like when that happens, just go get a drink, get some food, stretch your legs, cause yeah, I don't think that's been. It's meant to be every hour. I think it's been changed. It's on 30 minutes at the moment, which is silly and a bit annoying, but whatever. I will adapt the settings later on. Ugh. Trying to find an uppie. Let me uppie. Uppies. I want up. Oh. Okay, can you hear me again? Can you hear me? Because it's saying ads will start in 58 minutes. Okay, we're back now. Cool. Anyway, we need to continue to our peaking location because, well, we want to get there. We've been on this level for 10 minutes. I think we've been on this level for 10 minutes, less than. Which isn't good. We need to hurry our butts up. Otherwise, I will not get speedrunning. But speedrunning isn't, like, essential to win. It's just, it'd be really funny to get essentially that too. Oh my gosh. Goodness. Gracious. Mech. Ah. Ooh. Over here. We go this way. Don't step on the jellyfish because then I will slip off this mountain. Here we are. We go to the left. To the left, to the left. Bonk. Lots of thuds today. Anyway. With the amount of times I've started up Peak and not, I don't know if you can hear the game. You said you haven't been able to. I really don't know why that is. Anyway. We're just chilling and seeing what's going on with that. But anyway, we continue going on our merry way up the mountain and to the peak because it is silly. But yes, we be doing the peaking this way. And we go up. Oh yeah. And we go over there. Duh. Karate. I have no idea. Food will not kill us. Yasa. Snowball. Didn't burst or break. The spirit will not die with that one. Why am I going crazy right now? Oh, bloody goodness gracious me. What? Why am I going wait, are you questioning why I said why I'm going crazy? Or with what I was saying? Question. Oh. There's only 4 foot of me to question, Lyric. That's not a lot of me to question. There's only 4 foot. 4 foot 1. Well, the sanity has been put into question many times before. You do realize you picked me as internet parent, Lyric. You picked me. I question why you picked me as internet parent every day. I take that with great pride. But you did pick me. Hoi. Yes, this is true. Maybe we're just as crazy as each other, Lyric. It's a family heirloom we pass down through the generations, through adoption. We adopt the crazies to inherit the crazies. Indeed, indeed. Would you not agree? We can claim this. Look at this! Peak! Mountain! Top, let's go. This time can we not get the Book of Bones? Your claims are true indeed. Yes. We're at the top of the first level. Oh, we didn't get a sausage this time. Can we cook that? And this. And this. And the marshmallow. And this. And I'm just gonna numb on that while I wait. Anti-rope spool. Huzzah! I think the questionable craziness in this family is not incorrect, Lyric. It's more that... No, we don't want this one. It's not the questionable craziness. It is the fact that this family is run with ADHD. And this family's sanity with ADHD is not sane. Oh, I have the ethereal hum of the rope spool in my bag. Yes, we have the eternal ADHD. The eternal ADHD and the eternal humming. Rude? No. Use this. I grabbed onto you. That's just mean. You can hear Peak. Wait, so what was it that you... Why couldn't you hear it before? Maybe it was before my game crashed? Okay, so now you can hear it's raining. Oh, damn. They're coconuts. I thought they were beehives. We want to disrupt the ecosystem and annoy a bee. Yes, that is what we want to do today. Again. For like the 15th millionth time because I can't get that achievement to save my life. Ooh, we're going down there. We want these. Every time when I hit this area, it just goes dun-dun. Basically. And it's loud. Haha. By the way, there's so many explodies over here, so I'm going to be very, very careful. Because I don't want to die today. Again. Ooh. Okay, so replenish the thirst. I want to go through here because I honestly think maybe inside the mountain may be better. And this thing here, the rescue claw, is so useful, so I'm taking that with me. Even though it does take a lot of stamina, like it's a lot of weight in the backpack or on you as a person. Like your character, it does weigh a lot. But it's so useful. Let's go! It goes up. And with the fact I can see snow there, I'm assuming there's eventually an opening up. Haha! There's an opening! It goes up! Huzzah! Oh, and now the fog decides it wants to be higher up. I was about to say something very unhinged. I almost just said, ah yes, now the fog wants to be high. The fog realizes it wants to be high. And stopped myself just as I was about to say that. Honestly, comparing to earlier this week with Dinkum, the clip of me saying I wanted to eat kangaroo poo. No, you don't want to get high. I refuse to let you go high. No, you're not allowed to get high. As your internet parent, I refuse. No, no, no getting high. You can grow high, you can grow nice and big and tall, but no get high. But, like, there's a clip from Monday in Dinkum where I literally said the lines of, no, not high. It's like your brother, it's like your internet brother with your peas. I get alcohol. You're obsessed, so basically, I have one internet child who wants to get high, and the other internet child who wants to enjoy booze. Is that what I'm getting at here? Am I correct? Your internet brother wants to get yippies, aka alcohol. You want to get high. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I am correct. Is there a prof in the chat? What's up, Happy? Hi, Metroid. Prof is currently not in chat, no. But you are, and Lyric is. Lyric is over there. And so, we're chilling. We're having fun. And yeah. We've already had one run of Hikoyai. We died. But, we are just going to exist for a second. While you wait for the rain to stop. And yeah. Also, I'm discovering that Lyric is not responding to me because I asked her an important question, which was discovering that she wants to. I jokingly said that the fog, like when they said the fog is rising, I said, ah, yeah, so the fog wants to get high. And then stopped myself before I did. Decided eventually, I wanted to say that, it's kind of funny. And then Lyric stated, me too, fog. Basically stating the fact of she wants to be high. Beehive. I'll be right back. Ow! Rude. Be right back, bees. I'm coming for you. I pressed a random button and the stream closed right as you asked. Damn. GG to that button. I asked you, Lyric. Because, like, Stuff continually says he wants alcohol. Or yippee. You're stating you want to get high. So I'm asking, while your internet brother wants yippies, booze, you want to get high. Is that correct? Because that is what I'm hearing. Hi, Vuska. How are you? Welcome to stream. I made a comment. And Lyric agreed. She wanted to do the thing I didn't want her to do. Which is, you know my internet children. One of them being your grandson from an alternative timeline. Yes, apparently came at the best time. But he's going to get the most confusion. That your internet grandson wants your peas. AKA alcohol. No! Gosh dang it. No! Goodness. No! Where's my backpack? My grandson is a minor. Why are you giving him? I'm not giving your grandson alcohol. Why would I? I would never give him alcohol. I refuse. I simply refuse. Whoa, I'm passed out. Gosh damn it. No. You cannot supply your internet brother with alcohol. How many times have I told you? No. Also, how are you getting alcohol? I don't drink. There's no alcohol in the household. How are you able to find booze? I lost the honeycomb. Ah, there's the... Nope, nope. I cannot. I have to lose the honeycomb. I don't want you to have your ways of getting alcohol. Thank you very much. You are a child. My child. No. I refuse. You cannot have booze. No booze for my children. I do not give you permission to go get booze. Boozer. Do you think it is time to make fun of their mother's accent, Booskaboo? Do you want to see your grandchildren on the weekends? Do you want to see your grandchildren on the weekends? Because I can make it so that you do not see them on the weekends. And yes, thank you, Metroid, for aiming the butter knife at Booskaboo, the grandfather. The very irresponsible grandfather. No, I'm making a joke about how my... Oh. Yes, of course, Boozka is supplying the booze. No, it does nothing. I need to get... up. I need to find something to heal me quickly and eat, because otherwise I will pass out. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh. Shoot. Good. Good, Booska. Don't drink alcohol. I'd recommend against it. And Molotov cocktails. Honestly, in your country, good idea. No! I was all down to the wall! Well, that worked. What the? Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. I forgot about you. Oh my gosh. Not destructive. Damn. I need to find my backpack. I don't know where that went. I'm immediately doing something stupid that's gonna get me killed. See, Lyric, we don't have alcohol for enjoyment, for, you know, drinking. We have it for destruction. That is why there's alcohol in the household. And you do not gain access to the alcohol. Ever. No, no. What do you mean? Who fell into the Shadow Realm? Lyric? Me? Metroid? I thought of someone else I don't want to ever name. Oh. The backpack, yeah. Frustratingly, I think it has. Oh, fortified milk. Useful. See, I had 2 beehive things here. You know what? Sure, Lyric. You can have access to the regular explosives, but you just can't have access to the alcohol. I don't permit it. You're more responsible with bombs than with alcohol. I'm gonna get this video censored for that. For saying that one word, I'm gonna get my video censored. Afoy. 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 Ay, afoy. I don't know what that means. Someone help me explain it to me. Nope, 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 no. Shoot. Gosh damn it. I don't like this game. When it decides to throw me off a cliff. It's saying like an Odon, like Odon. Ah, gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. No! No! Rude! Let me stand there. It is white. It has snow on it. You're meant to let me stand. Stop being rude. Stop being so inconsiderate, Peak. Let me stand where you say it's standable. Are we sure we should trust Lyric with the boom booms? I trust her more than her brother! Hey, Peak being nice to the game. No. Yeah, Peak not being nice to the gamer. We have 45 minutes. I know I can probably get there just after an hour. So we're gonna speedrun. And see if we can try to get this. Because I would love if Peak decided to cooperate today. Goodness. Gracious me. Let me in. Let me through. Christmas. Crisis. That's what this game is. It's a crisis. Honestly, what day is the 25th? I'm checking the calendar. The 25th is... Oh, damn. So, technically next week... My friend says hi. Hello, Lyrics friend. I hope you are well. Promise. I was gonna actually say, like, honestly, with when I stream, it's in the evenings for me. And, like, it's Christmas Eve. Like, the 24th and 26th are, like, the actual days I stream, typically. I'll probably still stream on those days, because, like, they're the normal days I would stream otherwise. And typically by the time, like, by the time that's, like, it's hit that time of night, I'm the only one up. My family goes to bed really early. And I'm up on my own at 9 p.m. So, technically I could stream and no one would be the wiser. I can do Peak Pink Wednesdays on the 24th. And the 26th I could do another stream. For sillies. Because why not? Like... We fall. Ow. Snowball! Fun little fact, if you aim it right at your head, you get knocked over. You knock yourself out with a snowball. It's kind of silly. Can I cook the snowball? This is my next question. Can I cook the snowball? I can cook it. Huh. Interesting. Oh! Coconut! The coconut realizes I am just as insane. I am nuts too. I am bonkers. Teehee. Okay, so we want to go left. Far more left. Because this has been a very steep mountain this time, I'm noticing. Ooh. Hello. Crisis package. Father Crisis came early. Or is it Mrs. Crisis? Because it's usually Father Christmas. Mother Crisis. Mother Crisis. Snowball. Mother Crisis and Father Christmas. That would be a story to tell. I'd read that story. Mother Crisis, I choose you. Poof. Knocks me out. Home run. Oh, I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm questioning myself. It's super effective, but questioning oneself? Lyric, you've inherited the insanity. It's a family trait. Like the family heirloom. You know we're all crazy. We're all crazy. Exactly, when am I not? It's kind of just the Minerva perks. Now I climb this way. When I get to that beehive next time, because I know where it is roughly, I need to make sure my stats are pretty good, and I need to make sure, if I have to, throw the backpack down to it. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to get back to my backpack. Like, if I throw my backpack, if I leave my backpack behind, I need to throw it down. Because I'm jumping down anyway. But yeah. Please? No. No. Fine then. Haha. Boo to you. Suffering your jocks, I don't know what to say. The fog has decided to get high. It's going to be high. Just it's taking its time. Can I no, you're not getting high. As your internet parent, I am not permitting you to get high. No, absolutely not. No, no. No, no. You're not getting high. I refuse. No. Nope. But we didn't see a creeper lyric. Why are you saying amen? I feel like my children want to kill me. Together they will slowly plot my murder. My demise. Mum never will be no more. There's a creeper. Thank you, Metroid, for finding that creeper. I just realized I have multiple first aid kits. Wait. Do I have multiple first aid kits? Yeah, I have multiple first aid kits. Whoops. Okay. Mushrooms! Now, kids, to make sure it's not poisonous, we gotta check. What type of mushrooms are these, huh? Are these... Okay, we've got a cluster mushroom. Ah, you see, there's no frillies on these. If there was a frilly, that would mean it was poisonous. Because there is no frilly on it, you can eat it. It is safe to eat. There we go. Life hacks with Minerva. How to not die to a mushroom. That way, because this way is too steep. It's too tall for the shorties like me. Mm-hmm. Time to get high on the mushrooms. Oh wait, no, that would be bad. Don't do that. Please don't. Please don't. I beg. I beg of thee, oh so kindly, don't do that. Let's be on. What is going on? Why do I have a message? Okay, so. Hey. Hey. What? Ooh, shelf shroom. There's a shelf shroom. Up there. It's lonesome, but it's there. No! Ow. We're just gonna keep going this way. Nope, that. If you wonder why I do stupid things when I have no stamina, it is because I am stupid. There is no reasoning, there is no strategy. It's because I am stupid and want to speedrun. Because I'm impatient. I should probably wait a second to let my stamina heal up. But no, I am stupid, and therefore stubborn and impatient. But also, I'm not wasting stamina on these types of jumps if I had no stamina to begin with. See, look at that. I'm up. Record time. Definitely not record timing. It took me like 10 minutes. Let's get back up here. We got a sausage. And a sports drink. Now is it going to be useful or not? Oh, it's going to be useful. But now I'm actually curious. What are you guys up to? Because I don't think I ever asked. I asked Lyric earlier. But what are you up to at the moment, hmm? On the server working on the hub storage, and it's going to take a bit seeing Raisin and Yellow, not the stuff. Yeah, I got that. It's gonna take a second. It's unusual. I get it. Like, change takes time to get used to sometimes, and I do get that. A change as big as that, I think, can take a second as well. Ow. Rude. Also, because that creeper is animated Metroid, I keep looking back going, oh, a new message. Oh, a new message. No, there's no new message. It's just the creeper is animated to explode. And you're getting confused. Yay! Confusion! Not 20. Come on, put me up. The AoE is big with the confusion. Yeah. Yeah. We jumped off the side of a cliff. It's not advised. Ever. Num nums. The crunches. Don't do stupids. Stupids keep getting us killed. Just because you think you can make it doesn't mean you do it. Just got home. I'm very tired. I'll be lurking. Well, hello, Jade. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're having a nice time. Hope you've had a nice day as well. We're just chilling out the second. We've had some people come and go. Just existing at the moment and playing some Peak. This is my third round. The first round I crashed. The second round I died. No, the first round I died. No, the first round I crashed. Second round my stream crashed. Then I died. Then I'm doing this again. This is my third peaking, but like the second time this stream, and also no. Rude. And immediately a spam bot. Hey, spam bot. Bye. Seriously. I hope you guys don't get to see the spam messages ever, because they are annoying. I never knew how often they occurred for streamers. Like, I never knew, and then as soon as I've started streaming, it's been at least minimum once every stream, if not twice. Which is crazy. It's wild to me. It is absolutely wild to have it occur at least once a stream. Hoi. Ow. I'll take that. Cool. I've seen them on my stream. It seems they pop up in small streams. Yep, I think they pop up in all streams. Metroid, I think they always pop up. I think it is every streamer gets them at least once. Just, I think bigger streamers, they will have like however many moderators in their chat, so it's like they just don't notice it anymore. Whereas for us, because we're moderating our own chat as well, and making sure everything's okay, like, we are far more aware of it. Because if you've got like 10 moderators, you'll be reading chat, but skimming it. You're not checking the moderator notes, you're not checking that type of thing. Which is honestly very useful and nice. Can I please duck my head underneath? Let me through! Rude! I'm gonna... Do I want to climb the way with the 1,000 roots will go that way? I honestly think the way with the 1,000 roots is probably more safe, because then I have more stop-off points, like more place to stand, as I like lose stamina. Through here. Ooh, luggage. I could just like throw myself up there. Cool, we leave that now. The only reason... Oh! Well, my goodness, hi. Hello, Jacko TJK. Welcome to stream. Hi. Oh my goodness, hi Jacko. Hopefully you've had a lovely stream. What were you playing, mate? What were you playing? How was stream? Meowdy. My goodness. Hello. How are you doing? You've been playing, what have you been playing, mate? Luckily, we didn't have the ads start playing. CS, then a puzzle box game. Very fun. Oh, that's interesting. CS. Oh, we found the bees. I found the bees. I'm being cheeky. Interesting. We're being very cheeky here. Bye. Now we run. Do those bees not... The bees left. Were you guys the one about the roop? Yes, they were about the roop. You and another person. I don't know who. No! Rude! Don't lose. Honestly, I'm gonna... Yes. That was Callie. Ah! You two being chaotic duo back and forth was extremely interesting to watch. Just chaos duo. I would not be able to leave you two unattended. Yes, thank you so much for that. I think it was... Callie was the one suggesting on Monday about eating kangaroo poo. Honestly, Jacko, would you be the one to also try to eat kangaroo poo is the next question for me. Hello. We don't... I have no idea. I'm going to eat it. Please don't eat kangaroo poo. I don't want you ending up in a hospital. You are a fellow Aussie person, so I'm assuming. Like, yes, you are. You are Aussie. Either you or Callie were. One of you two Chaos Gremlins were. I've also kind of determined what I want to dub the beautiful people who follow or subscribe to the channel. Both of us. You've read that. What? What? I have no idea. I'm not going to... Oh. Okay, I'm playing the game and I joined. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Ah. Okay, goodness gracious me. I read it wrong. Jacko's not going to eat the kangaroo poo. He said he wasn't going to eat it. I read it as he was going to eat it. Or they. I don't know pronouns. I'm so sorry if I'm using the wrong ones. I cannot assume the pronouns, just in case. Just, I don't know. Yes, the kangaroo poo. He. Okay, cool. Just wanted to Just wanted to verify. That's cool. Easy peasy. Lifesaver. Hey, Jacko, at least you didn't raid in 5 minutes time. That would have been really funny. After Monday. Tuning in to the raid, immediately hit with an ad break. But yes, I am so glad your stream went well and you had fun. I'm definitely going to be looking up CS because I'm a bit curious about what that is. This is a corner. I will die if I stay in the corner, sadly. I like corners, but no. We can't stay in the corner. Whoa! Food. Bandage. Yes. It's awkward because I didn't, it was a bit awkward. My first ever stream with the ability to, like, anything like that. So normally there are settings that make sure ads are auto held. The thing is, Jacko, I have it set up where I will actually like click on the run the 3-minute ads. I started it. It was about a minute in, and that is when Yami Mo raided me. She raided me when I was a minute into the ads. So I'd gone for a second, looked back, saw the raid, like after like 20-30 seconds in, and I just went, oh no. So that was like, it's a purposeful raid by me. Like, not raid. That it's not purposeful raid. Purposeful like ad break from me. But yeah, that was very fun. Anyway, the thing is gonna nag at me in a minute or two that the ads should start up. But so I will start those up in a little bit. Like, I'll pause the game, start those up, see what happens. Probably grab a drink and everything. But yeah, we're just gonna chill for a second while that happens. I know a few of you have Prime. Like, I know a few, like 1 or 2 of you have subscribed. Like, well, Jacko is subscribed. Like, I know some of you are subscribed, whatever like that. I'm sorry. I will walk away for a second as well. There's more bees. Huh. I'm gonna let them mind their own business. Beeswax? Okay, Metroid is redeemed to hydrate for 100. Please, everyone, grab your water, your coffee, tea, Milo, whatever you're drinking right now, and have a quick sip, because business, yes, business. I took my meds like probably 30 minutes ago, actually, Lyric. So yes, take my meds. If anyone else needs to take regular medication, make sure you take your meds right now. Go do it if you have not done it yet. If you have to do it, yes, take your meds Take your medicine. Everybody! My goodness. Am I in the vine? I was in the vine. But yes, go take your meds. In a minute, I will start the ad roll because then we can get it out of the way. We don't have to worry about it later. There, done. Took a breath. It's new. This is new. It's chaotic. It's fun. I still cannot believe... Thanks. Lyric, I would not be awake right now if I was not breathing this entire stream. I'd have lost consciousness a few hours ago. Pardon me. Pardon moi. I'm so sorry. But, yes, I will start up the ad roll in a second because otherwise it's going to be annoying and a bit of a butt and just do it automatically. But we are going to get to that peak. Because you have Prime, Lyric. You have Prime. If you have the Prime membership with, yeah, you have Prime. Because of that, you don't get ads. Unless... I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna pause that for a second. Take a stretch. And yeah. I'll start with ads, so it means it doesn't matter. But yeah, I will see you guys shortly. You don't see ads. Uh... Okay, so everyone else in my stream, can they see ads or no ads? What the heck? So you can hear me, you can see me. I got an ad. You got an ad. Okay. A singular ad. Mm. Okay. Interesting. It says it's supposed to run 3 minutes of ads, but then it just... Interesting. It didn't let me... I didn't press the button in time, so it said it stopped. Like, it was like, oh, next ad start in 57 minutes. It does that sometimes. We love that. Twitch. What the heck? What the heck? What's the heckity heck on toast? This is cooked. This needs to be cooked. Put that in there. Ow! Portable campfire. Cause I'm lazy. I just crunch. Anyway, we cook. We eat. We keep peeking. We keep moving. Because if we don't keep moving, hot. It's Crisis, but snowy. Let's go. Okay, so we look first for... Maybe it's that one? Luggage. Ah, because it is Crisis. They're... Ow. Crisis-themed luggages. What the heck is up with the weather in Peak? Crisis. Metroid Crisis. Or climate change, maybe? Honestly, we blame either. And to be fair, that makes it so much easier to tell what luggages are fake. Found the capybaras. Wait, which one's fake? Are you both fake? No. There's two fake, one real. I need to get hidden. I need to hide. I need to hide. I need to hide. Oh, shoot. Hi, can you go away, please? Yes. Despawn between my feet. Ah! Frick! Gosh dang it! Gosh dang it! Nope! Tumbleweed. Duh! Wait. That way. Metroid, this is Merry Crisis, so we get, snow. And hot. Just for Crisis, though. But I will state, it's gonna make it so much easier for me to tell which are hallucination luggages. Because as you saw at the beginning, the Explorer's luggage was normal, whereas the usual luggage at the moment looks like a present. So I can pretty easily say, oh yes, that one's not even real. Which kind of takes the whole gimmick out of it. So that's kind of frustrating, but whatever. Makes it easier for me to tell which is fake, which is real. So which luggage is gaslighting the hell out of me because I'm overheating, supposedly. Yes. Teehee, we just jump over here and we'll figure out where the heck to go. That is real. That luggage is real. But I'm not going back over there because it's going to take me too long. Boy. Nope, that's not understandable. Area. Oh, please someone bonk me with a hammer. I totally forgot Pink Peak Wednesdays. Well, hello, Prof. Welcome to stream. You were absolutely fine, hun. For forgetting, that's okay. There we go. Anyway, welcome to the chat, Prof. How are you going? How's your day been? As you can see, we're experiencing global warming and climate change because the Mesa has snow. AKA, the crisis update for Peak. Nope. 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 There we go. Ooh, shelf shroom. How's your day been, Prof? Oh, we don't have any food. Our provisions are limited. It would be really funny if I could cool myself down with one of the snowballs. That'd be really smart game mechanic. And really funny. You can die of freezing and heat at the same time. Nope. I haven't even, I'm not even up there. I have so far to go. Fortunately, the mesa will wait a second before it will start forcing the climb. But at the moment, I can just wait un momento. You alright, sir? Can you please stay on that side of the cliff? They're just having fun there. Just teasing me with their power. Going, I could kill you. I could kill you so quickly. Nope, that's gonna be Bernie. That hurts. That's Bernie. Oh. It's wasting. Oh, well, enjoy food. What are you having? Would love to know. Well, later, once you've had food. Please. Like, enjoy your food first, and then let me know later. Because I'm curious. Yes, enjoy your food, prof. Go do that. Enjoy. Oh, we have to do... Oh, cinnamon roll. Nice, nice. I love a good cinnamon roll. You're already sweet enough. You don't need to eat a cinnamon roll. You're already a cinnamon roll. Please don't kill me. Like, do that in Minecraft. No. Let me up. Going up, up, up with no a moment. You know, together we're glowing. Gonna be golden. Let me up. Uppies. I want. Stop being a pain. I need food urgently. My character needs food urgently. Not me, but my character needs food. Urgently. There is a luggage over there. Okay. But yes. Please give me food. Sunscreen. Honestly, useful, but still. Food. I asked for food. Food. Please. 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 I beg. Have food. Chain. Well, that's still useful. But still, we need food urgently. My character will starve. Like, I will starve to death. And I don't want to eat the yellow the yellow winterberry yet. Because the only one I can get on this level, because it's the Mesa and not the Alpine, however you say it. And yeah, like, I know. Please. I just want to get food. Add a cinnamon roll to peak. I'll steal it. If I have to beat up Prof, I will. Shh. I need to eat. Can you express mail the cinnamon roll to Australia? To my peak? Okay. What? I need food. Look at my character's health. I need food. Urgently. I'm asking, do I have to beat up Prof to get the cinnamon roll? And then ask if you could send it express to Australia. Because, like, you know. Like, food. Please. I need food. My character will pass out. I saw a luggage over there. Cool. She is gonna pass out in a moment. Aha! Double food. Double food! Won't probably arrive early enough. No, it won't. Oh, you were meant to die. Go away! What the heck? Go away. I need to live. I need to live. I need to live. I need to live. Okay, so I've lost my Winterberry. I'm not going to be able to get the achievement, the Go Mad achievement today, sadly. Because otherwise the Scorpion was going to kill me. Like, I would have died. Which is really annoying because that bomb should have killed the Scorpion. And the Scorpion's, like, cooldown for when it's supposed to, like, attack you has shortened significantly. Now that Scorpion should very well be cooked. Thank you. Cook next time. Goodness. It's not that it's not that difficult. If there is a bomb, explode. It's that simple. Now cook those things, cook those things, cook those things for me. It's really quite... Exactly, it's really quite simple. You know. It's really quite simple. Explode. I don't say that to people, I say it to a scorpion though. Quite happily. Thank you very much. I will say that to every scorpion in this game. Quite happily. Checkpoint flag. I'm not using that anywhere near here because there's multiple boom booms. That way might be better. Haha! Nailed it. Oh! Look at the wrapping paper! It's Bing Bong! I didn't notice that. Oh, that's really cute. Do the rest of them have... No, it's just that one. Oh, that's really cute. Haha, over here. Bing Bong is a huge thing in this universe. Like, what is the lore behind Bing Bong? Is he a corrupt billionaire? Like, because his planes keep crashing in the same location. Because of course we have Scoutmaster Myers. So what is the lore? I need to know the lore here. Like, I need to know what on earth happened that Bing Bong's planes keep crashing down on this island. In the same spot. We have to do the same thing, which is peek. Over and over. Scouts come over here, they peek, or they die. Like, someone answer me that question. Because that is not a simple question to answer. I need to know the peak lore. Oh, there's 3 of them. There's a lot of explosions right there. Like, I grimaced IRL just then, just like the... Here is to the explosion. Explode. Itchy nose, itchy nose. Also, I'm just really... Lyric, why are you up right now? Lyric. It's 3 a.m. But you are. Like, I know I have a horrid sleep schedule. I cannot speak for anyone when I... Like, I can speak for no one when I tell you to go to bed. But... Ah! Why are you awake? Like, are you in your room on your phone? Is it... Like, I know school's just ended. I know I'm not one to talk. Like, are you on your phone in your room? Are you something else? Like, what's going on there? I've committed to the secret project and I cannot sleep until it's finished. Oh yeah, that secret project I don't know about. Boom. Yeah, I think she's on the server. I think she's on the Minecraft server. Prof, just because you have the power to kick her doesn't mean you can kick her. I'm immediately getting that idea out of your head. As you can tell, Prof is now pink lyric because she's gotten trial stuff. Because, yeah. Anyway, I'm just immediately ending that thought process. If that was a thought process in Prof's mind. No. You don't trust it to be found before it's finished. I'm very curious of what it is. I'm getting on Minecraft after I peak. Or I die next. You do realize, Lyric. I will be lurking around and I'm going to be curious about what you're doing. You really don't want people to see and I'm very curious why. I'm very curious. Yeah, let go. No, no, no. Thank you. Oh. Mm-hmm. 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 Why is Happy Hairs like like what's the song? It's like the Yarkale's Where Do We Go? I don't even know the song properly. Just sing it or hum it. Javier. Immediately I intrigued Lyric. Immediately Lyric was intrigued. Her ears perked up. Excuse-moi? Yeah, so it's What's Lyric? Nope, can't go through there. What's Lyric? My curiosity is piqued. I'm curious now. Please let me know what you meant by what? Lyric? Lyric XXL, what is A hardy beast? Maybe. I'm curious now, but I don't have the ability to currently look up the song. Oh, I just wasted that last bit of... Oh. We're just gonna trust it is that one. Ah! Frig! Gosh damn it! Gosh damn it! That was a regret. That's a regret. That's a regret. That's a regret. That's a regret. alive! Die already! Please. Thank you. Food. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry if I just screamed into my microphone a tiny bit. I'm so sorry. There's no intentional ever when I do that. It is just, I get spooked. These guys are scary. They're very scary. I do not like them. And now with the fact that their cooldown is significantly shortened, they're a pain in the butt. Because one of them nearly killed me earlier. But yes. There's so many bombs. This map is just telling me to go explode. Keeping my stamina up as much as humanly possible at the moment. This is a difficult peak. Tropics is a pain. This is a pain. Everything is pain. Woo! Oh, there's a cooked scorpion. And this is when I run. This way. I'm backtracking a tiny bit. Nope, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do sillies. We just exist here, let our stamina recharge, then we keep going. And we go a different route. Because that route's going to kill us so quickly. Like, there's not a lot of places to run to. Currently, I need healing. I need healing items, honestly, very urgently. As soon as I can find healing, I need to use those healing. Ooh, hello. Well, there's food. That's useful. I will savor that though, because if it's a dire situation, I'd rather have it than not. Haha! Glitched. Teehee. Like, I've gotten through this biome, Mesa, with less in terms of... Nope. I have a spare flag, honestly. Boy! Just... This is such a weird strategy. Please tell me I respawn with the things. Wait, why? That's just mean. That's rude. What the heck? I had damage. You said to get rid of my damage. You meant to do that. Respawn me. Ugh, that's mean. Oi. That's just rude. Ugh. What the heck? What the actual heck? I have to go elsewhere. Because this game decided to be a bit of a butt when it came to that. Healing, you know, with a checkpoint flag, and go, heh, you trying to glitch the system? Nope. Not happening. Not for you. Screw that. So mean. It's really mean. Oh, we don't have... I was trying to set the Python and I can't. There's no more Python to set. Who? Come on. Aha! I'm up. Let's go. Shoot. My character's gonna get delirious in a second. I need food. I have no stamina. Yep. I have the other thing. So maybe maybe this time you would give me something without any hunger? The checkpoint flags aren't even doing anything. They're just like, you're gonna respawn with the same pain. I can't get up because I'm gonna lose. I need something to eat. I need to eat something now. Not soon, now. Come on, please, 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 please. I'm dead. I'm dead. Yeah, no, I'm actually full on dead. Dang it. The balloon popped like my hopes to achieve peaking. The balloon popped like my peaking achievement. I finally finished the secret project. Good job, Lyric. As I died. Oh gosh. Damn it. Well, that's not happening tonight because it is past midnight by half an hour. I tried to finish stream by midnight, if not earlier, but I didn't, sadly. So we're gonna leave the game. I'm gonna actually switch my not instance, to my ending stream screen because that is just stop peak. Exit the game. Menu next, hop on the server or do it on stream. Sometimes I can watch the VOD for no that concerns me, Lyric. I'm about to get on Minecraft, but that concerns me greatly. Because I don't know how to respond to that, Lyric. I don't know how to respond to that. Okay then. That is frightening. That is frightening. Well, I don't have Minecraft on my laptop currently. So if you want to get back onto Minecraft, then you can see my reaction live, Lyric. But, yeah, no, I'm not going to be streaming. I'm going to be canceling. I'm going to be ending the stream in a second. We're going to look at raiding someone, potentially. And, yeah, we're just going to have some fun. Going to find someone to raid. Let's look. And let's see if anyone I'm following is currently streaming. We currently have... Callie is restreaming. Callie has started streaming again. Prof, we have Rorania. Rorania. I don't Rory? Rorania? Guten Tag? We could force her to speak English again. That'd be funny. Or we could potentially raid Cameron JK, another streamer who's currently playing Power Simulator because it's silly. Yeah. We want to go anywhere in particular today? There's not many of us, so it's just chill. But yeah, we can just go and raid somebody. If so, who do you think you'd like to raid today? Anyone in particular? Does anyone want anyone to raid? Otherwise, I'd probably just raid Cam because I know they're playing pretty chill game and yeah, they're a pretty chill streamer. It's easy. They're playing Power Simulator, so it's pretty mellow and honestly quite methodic. So would we like to raid Cam or someone else? If no one's gotten any objections, I'm gonna go ahead and start the raid for Cam. If you want to stick along for that, just say hi, then that'd be awesome. Do you want a raid message or no? Because we can just go chilling. Anyway, we're gonna go raid Cam and say hi. If you want to stick around for that, then do so. And yeah. The kangaroos have arrived. Kangaroos have arrived, raid? Is that what we're calling it? So if everyone wants to, we can just do this. The raid of the kangaroos. Does that sound fun? Or kangaroo raid? Does that sound like it's silly? Would we like that as our raid message as we go raid of the kangaroos? Okay, we're gonna go raid Cameron, JK. They're currently playing Power Simulator. Very chill. I've raided them before. They're so lovely. They are the partner of Zombie Cleo. They're Zombie Cleo's partner. They're so lovely. And yeah, they're currently playing Power Sim, so it's very chill, very fun. And we're gonna go have a good time and saying hi. Okay, so lovely. Let's go start and raid Cam. Have a lovely rest of your day, evening, afternoon, and have fun. Bye bye. What?